Patrick Wellness, my wife Sarah. We're gonna talk about hammock camping, and I guess kind of the first point I'm gonna make is we're not necessarily trying to say go throw your tent out and get a hammock. It's just another option.
And part of it is that people see us out hammock camping and have come up to me and said, I've got the stuff, but I just don't quite know how to do it. And I'm nervous because you're going to fall out, right? Or maybe you're going to fall out, or what's going to happen when you're dead asleep and you fall out. So we wanted to show you how to do it safely and what options are out there.
So, I mean, it's the hammocks we have aren't necessarily your rope or net hammock that you've got set up in your backyard. Not a camp, necessarily camp group, but a lot of us camp. But because of that compact and lightweight, easy to throw in a dry bag, throw in a canoe or kayak, gets you off the ground. So you're not sleeping on a rock or in a puddle. In my mind, I can have my hammock set up faster than Matt can get his tent set up. So it's fast setup, fast tear down, and I'm more comfortable in my hammock than I am on a sleeping pad in my tent.
And when he says comfortable, he means he's comfortable. When I say comfortable, I mean I have a chronically herniating disc and I'm comfortable sleeping in a hammock.
It's, it's not magic. I mean, you gotta know what you're doing a little bit. We use like posts on a picnic shelter, part of the rack on the vehicle, or an actual hammock stand. But you need to find the right site essentially. Insulation. It gets cool at night sometimes, so we always have sleeping bags in our hammocks, and kind of comes back to once in a while. A lot of times, if I'm going camping, I'm going to take our hammock stuff, but we might get somewhere and it might not be suitable for a hammock, so we'll throw the tent up. So it's not every site's going to work for it. Um, it's a pretty good picture of my setup, my Rainfly, but kind of some of the types of gear, hammock camping. The only real must gear is the hammock itself, but I like throwing a sleeping bag in there to be more comfortable. We've got some little nicer straps for hanging the hammock on the tree. We got our under-quilts for when it gets a little cooler. Rainfly for me.
And a way to hang it, and that's it. I like to travel in comfort, and so we do, other than the bug netting, I've got everything on that list, but you know,
Double doesn't necessarily need two people. We both have double hammocks and we like them because you got extra material that you can kind of wrap around yourself at night.
And that's why I don't need bug netting, because I just throw the hammock over the top.
Most of these numbers on trying to set it up are some I pulled off of REI's website, but generally I kind of eyeball it for myself, but it's just some rough ideas for setting up, and we'll kind of run through it a little bit more when we do a little demo here in a second. But generally, maybe 12, 15 feet apart for the trees. You want the trees to be large enough so that you're not causing damage to it. And you just want to make sure you hang your hand, get into the ground.
So the 5 to 6 feet is the number that we came up with together. Too high for me. Okay, so this is the fun part.
Over here.
Sure. Patrick is going to be a tree, since we don't have a tree in here. So this is the straps we were talking about, and there's all kinds of straps out there. But the important part about this one is that it has multiple attachment points. So no matter how far the trees are apart, I can find what is going to be a good spot to attach the hammock. So, you know, you might have a limb that if the tree is too wide for you to be able to reach around and grab it, you can find some way. Oh, you have a question? Oh, yeah. So if the tree is too wide for you to be able to reach around and touch your hands, you can find somewhere to like hook the strap on the tree, or you can throw it around, right? And then you'll take, let's see, I did it backwards. So you'll loop, and I'm not tightening around your neck. So you get it centered, and then normally I don't like to put it in the last hook because it really just changes how much the hammock will flex. You can do it if you need it, but I try not to. So this one or this one is where I would hook the hammock. I'll hold that for a second. So same thing on the other tree over here. Then we've got the hammock with its attachment. You want to hook it in? Sure. Wow, this is gonna work perfect. Okay, so got your hammock set up. It was that fast, that easy, but it's gonna be a cold night, so we're grabbing the under-quilt. A little puffier, but it still packs pretty light and pretty compact. And when you have to do it on a hammock stand, it's a little more complicated because as you can see, the hammock on the hammock stand. So just clip it right into the same carabiner that's on the hammock. Walk it right under the hammock and clip it in, and you're all tucked in.
There's been times when we've had trees a little further apart than we prefer, where we've used cam strap or whatever to try to give us a little extra length. So
Question, is the idea that you sink down into the under-quilt, or?
Yep.
yes, yes.
So why don't you hold it up about where we usually would? So yeah, this is about the height that we would normally start out at, which looks pretty high, right? I'm gonna go the other way. I just take my body, lay right across the middle. It'll take any excess that's in the lines, it'll take that out and put tension in it. So you'll get it down to a height that you can sit at. Because all you have to be able to do, and I'll demonstrate this when we get it on the rack, all you have to be able to do is grab the middle of the hammock and be able to get it just under yourself so you can sit back into it when you're getting in. Let's see. Is there anything else?
We want to talk about the fly.
Oh yeah. So you start talking about.
All right, so she's gonna pull out one. We've got a couple different rainflies, but we generally will at maybe slightly above at each end, and then hers has got I think 4 points that we'll put stakes in the ground too. So we don't really use a ridge line going across.
Yeah, this one doesn't need a ridgeline going across because it has a point. You can see it's kind of a rectangle. So I would take, the cords wrap up really, really well on this one because there's a little bit of wire in them. I'll hold that up. Basically attaching it at the tree at the same point just above where I put the straps. And then you can see how it kind of forms that rectangle. So these points go out and get tied to a tent stake. So I've just got a 4-point system going on for this one.
Mine's a little different. It's instead of the 4 points, I've just got, it's more of a diamond shape, and so I've just got 2 spots on the sides for stakes, and then 2 spots to the tree.
This one?
Yeah. And a whole bunch of paracord wrapped up on the ends.
Mhm. You want to, so the nice thing about the Rainfly is I put it up pretty much all the time because it's not just a fly for rain. So in the summer, fly gets you in the
Paracord
shade and it gets
tree.
a nice little breeze going on underneath.
I just got the 1 point out. Just got the 1 point that would come out on each item.
Kind of one of those things you can't go wrong when you're getting out of the rain as long as you're covered.
Want to just pull the rain flies off and we can set the
And this
hammock up.
one actually has multiple points along it. So if you wanted to hang it shorter or hang it higher or just hang it differently, they're also all along the outside. So just kind of something to look for if you're shopping for a Rainfly. The
Mhm.
options.
Set the hammock up.
Yeah.
We just
Okay.
get this stuff
So
out
we're
the
gonna
way.
go through. He's gonna go through a little transition. And we'll get the hammock set up on the stand so I can show you how to get in and out and move around while you're in it. But while he's doing that, does anybody have any questions?
For the under-quilt, what's the temperature range? Do you break that up or is it one fits all for everyone?
There are multiple options available. I've seen, so we've got like a poly material. I've seen cloth under-quilts. I've seen very heavy ones. There's just all kinds of I was ever in a hammock. Patrick was introducing me to the kayaking world. And he put me in a 60-degree sleeping bag. I had never been in a mummy bag before, and I had never slept in a hammock before. So it was quite an experience learning how to get in a mummy bag and then get into a hammock. Now I have a very large, cushy Coleman sleeping bag that I got at an auction, right? That's probably 20 years old. Super comfortable, super soft, super warm to me, but nothing a backpacker would ever be interested in carrying. And the other advantage of that for me is that it actually, because it's so big, it spreads out the hammock. So it doesn't feel like it's mummying me in when I'm in it. So under-quilts, you would probably not want quite as much insulation if you've got a very insulated sleeping bag.
Yes, I can. On the ones we have, I think what I've used it with is I've been down probably to lower 50s, maybe. Going beyond that, you might want to look into down. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Go for it.
All right. So, you want to describe what I'm doing?
So, well, yep.
So I usually start off just sitting in it like this, and then I'll just swing my legs in.
Yep. So I grab on either side of me grab the edges of the hammock, get it underneath me, and sit right down, just like Patrick did,
And then
and then
a lot of
swing
times
to the
I'll
side.
adjust.
So yep, you can grab on to each side of the hammock to pull yourself around. Because I don't know about him, but I don't stay centered throughout the night. I'll sink one way or another. And if or my feet will end up too high and get cold, right? And so I'll reach above me and pull myself up the hammock in the middle of the night, or reach below me and pull myself down towards the feet. Yep. And then he just pivoted to the side. See, he can do that. I can't. I'll show you what I do
ahead.
instead to get up. Do it a little slower. So when I say there, this will cover me, I literally just wrap it around me. Mine has the height of the hammock to pull myself into the sitting position before I get up. I don't know if I can do it on this stand. Oh,
Yeah. All right. So, who does hammock camping work best for? Where does it? Obviously, you got a forested area, campsite. Usually got a lot of options. Sloped, muddy ground. Don't have to worry about cleaning as much stuff up. If you're trying to be a little more minimalist, or if you just don't like sleeping on the ground or sleeping bad.
the other thing I forgot to mention, it might seem like this might not work if you have a CPAP machine, but I have a CPAP machine. And so I have a little, I think it's called a fishing chair. I don't know. It's just a little chair that I put my CPAP right on top of, and the mask comes right up to the hammock with me. So unfortunately, that means I either need a plug-in site or a portable battery, but it's that would not limit you from sleeping in a hammock.
Or too close, where you either get too the hammock gets too tight and it's too high up and you can't get into it, or it's too low and you end up jumping into it and then hitting the ground. Age, UV damage. I had an old single hammock before this one that once I got this one, I just left it on the hammock stand in the backyard for most of a summer. I think at one point I jumped into it and it tore on me and I hit the ground. Um, just gotta be when you're putting up a rainfly, just gotta be careful because that you get it secured well because in a storm the wind could catch it and get underneath and rip it.
The rainfly also, just like any normal tent, creates a little bit of a trip hazard in the middle of the night when you've decided you do, in fact, need to get out of the hammock.
Um, like with the tent, you still need to dry your gear out if you've been out in the rain with it. Otherwise, you could have a mold issue. Um, hard surfaces. I think Sarah's got a.
So I learned this one the hard way. Cell phones, right? And a lot of people have them. Read before you go to sleep. Yep. So my cell phone, like I said, mine has a bag that's attached to the side. Unfortunately, my cell phone did not end up in the bag that night, and it slid down under my hip. So when you're in the hammock, be aware of what could end up underneath you and try to keep hard things out of the line of fire.
Just entering and exiting the hammock, like we kind of showed it. Kind of like getting in and out of your kayak. It can be a little tricky if you're new at it. And just know what the temperatures are going to be and what you think you'll need insulation wise. Whether you just need a sleeping bag in your hammock, or you're going to be out a little cooler temps and you might want to get a under-quilt.
For the first several times that I was out in the hammock, we did not have under-quilts at all. So it's absolutely, and while we got slightly chilly, not uncomfortable enough to be a deterrent from camping. So while the underquilts are nice, not necessary.
Before I jump into this slide, one more thought I had is when you're picking a site to throw your hammock up, know what's around you. Katie and I did some hammock camping before doing a big chunk of the Missouri River, starting in Sioux City. We hung up hammocks up on along the fence of a baseball field and got woke up by sprinklers hitting us. But like with any kind of camping, leave no trace. What some of the REI and some other sites kind of talk about rope. What they say about those tree straps, though, because they're a little wider, is that they protect the bark better. Avoid smaller trees because you throw a strap or a rope or whatever on a tree and jump in it. If it's not a big enough tree, you could hurt the tree too. If you're out in kind of a wilderness area, make sure you're off the trail and not putting your hammock across the trail. And like all leave no trace stuff, just leave everything better than you find it. There's a couple links where I was trying to get some extra information when I put this stuff together. So I think that's all we got. Any other questions?
Find that your weight's pretty evenly distributed, or is it mostly kind of in the butt at the bottom there? And then also with that, are you able to sleep on your side or anything, or is it all stacked?
I am a side sleeper and I end up back sleeping in a hammock and I'm comfortable doing it. So,
I'm a side sleeper and you can sleep on your side, but I generally, I'll fall asleep on my side and end up on my back.
Well, the weight
I mean, in the middle of the hammock, you're definitely sinking more there, but and
is more pressure then?
I would say no, no. And from the outside perspective, it looks like it's all in that one spot, but you don't notice it in the hammock. Anything else?
When you say it runs into a trail, are you talking like a human or people trail or the animal?
I'm thinking I've set my hammock up just off the Centennial Trail or well, in the Black Elk Wilderness before.
I'd stay off animal trails too. That wouldn't be
Yeah.
fun.
So
You have a surprise a little night, you know, if you know what I mean.
another hammock story. Matt and I were backpacking in Black Elk Wilderness. I had my dog along with me, and my plan was I had a nice pad and stuff. The dog was going to sleep right underneath my hammock. He hopped up and he slept on top of me in the hammock all night. I don't know if you remember that. Anything else?
You have to sleep on a diagonal and you start hammocks to pretty much lay like right down.
I think I'm usually right down the middle.
Yep, right down the middle. I mean, you could try. I don't know how well it. I think gravity's just gonna beat you in the end.
I think I might have had a flatter lay when I had a single with the double. I don't think I've ever found that.
No, I just got it. With mine, I always put a mat in.
Yeah, and
A mat.
that kind of works instead of an under-quilt.
Yeah.
Yep.
and that Just stabilizes it too.
Okay.
I'd like to add, I was seeing that, mostly a single nest, but, they double as a lawn chair,
Yep.
or camp too.
Yeah.
You sit in them, perpendicular, you just hang in there. I've seen a person just walk, carry it in their backpack and use it on the trail,
Mhm.
As well. And, it's a comfortable, lightweight chair about the size of a grate for, Well, thank you, Pat. Sarah.